Hello there, Mia Grady here with a look at what's making headlines in Houston. Starting with more than 2 weeks after an ICE agent shot and killed Lorenzo Salgado during an operation in Houston's East End, we're learning more about the investigation. The Harris County DA says the case is moving forward. Here's Jalissa Garza with the latest.
The memorial here on Canal Street is still growing, and so is the community's call for answers. Last night, residents got to take their questions directly to local leaders, including District Attorney Sean Tier. During a community meeting Wednesday night, Harris County District Attorney Sean Tier shared how his office is making progress in its investigation into the deadly shooting. Tier says his office has now gained access to more evidence, including Salgado's van and access to witnesses in the case.
One of our lead trial lawyers in this was up at the detention center today and was able to interview one of the detainees.
He also says the Texas Rangers' involvement has brought more clarity from the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security.
We are well on our way to being able to get a real picture of what happened.
And as residents' questions appeared on the projector, one asked, why were the officers not immediately taken into custody? Tier explained that in a typical officer-involved shooting, officers are not usually taken into custody right away because investigators know who they are and where to find them. But he says this case was different from the very beginning, including that ICE has still not publicly identified the agent who shot Salgado.
The short answer in this case is they weren't taken into custody because we still don't know from ICE who they are. We didn't have access to the scene.
Tier said there are ultimately two possible outcomes from this independent investigation. Either his office charges one or more federal agents with a state crime, or it does not. Tier cautioned that the investigation will take time, but said that his team is working on it every day. Reporting in Houston's East End, Jalissa Garza, KHOU 11 News.
Houston ISD teachers are just days away from returning to campus and work as the district prepares to roll out its new performance-based pay system. The changes are bringing a new way of calculating salaries for educators across the district. Here's Devon Rahming with more.
Well, this is the first year HISD is rolling out this new pay model, and they tell us long gone are the days of teachers being paid solely based on years of experience. The district says the goal is to tie compensation more closely to teacher effectiveness, while many educators and the teachers union have raised questions about the transition. HISD says the new system will evaluate teachers using a combination of factors, including classroom performance and other job responsibilities. The district says the updated pay structure is part of a broader effort to reward effectiveness and attract and retain teachers. Meanwhile, the Houston Federation of Teachers, however, has criticized the rollout, arguing educators should have more clarity about their compensation before the new school year begins.
HISD is getting ready for the new school year and finalizing pay for performance salaries for teachers. This new system ties teacher pay to effectiveness, with salaries ranging from $70,000 to $101,000 for 2026-2027. Teachers, you may notice a baseline salary displayed in your employee profile. This is a normal part of the summer salary update process and is not your final salary.
HISD says this marks the first year of the district-wide performance-based compensation system, and students with HISD are expected to be back in the classroom on August 10th. In Houston, Devon Rahming, KHOU 11 News.
The University of Houston downtown is getting a major boost to help more students become the first in their families to graduate from college. The Moody Foundation is giving UHD $1.3 million to expand its First Gen Gator program. The program launched last year and has already helped about 9,000 students. The new funding will provide academic support, mentoring, and career resources to 2,000 more first-generation students. Fort Bend County says aerial spraying has cut mosquito activity by 83%, but the West Nile threat is not over. The county has confirmed its first human case this year, and dozens of mosquito samples have tested positive. Officials recommend you use repellent and remove standing water around your home. Well, Houston welcomed the world for the FIFA World Cup. Now that it's over, city leaders are looking at what this moment means for the city moving forward. Maria Aguilera fills us in.
Well, that's the end of the road for FIFA World Cup 2026 here in Houston. And city leaders say after years of planning and weeks of events and matches, they are now looking back at what it took to pull off the largest event this city has ever hosted. The final whistle has blown on World Cup 2026 in Houston.
First of all, let me publicly admit I am now a soccer fan.
From Houston Stadium to Fan Fest in East Downtown, city leaders say the numbers show the impact this moment had for the city.
More than 1 million people took part in World Cup related events across Houston.
And with more than 500,000 people who traveled here for the tournament, getting fans to and from events was also a major part of the plan.
We had system-wide over 5 million people take Metro, but we also had 1.2 million people take the rail system to and from the games.
Officials say safety was also a top priority, with a $65 million FEMA grant helping fund the security operation, bringing together local, state, and federal partners.
We looked for everything, from the worst case scenario with a terrorist event all the way down to a lost child. So we planned for everything. So everything we can control went according to our plan.
And the Fan Fest in Edo could have a life beyond the World Cup.
We're already working on what's next,
with more investment and development expected around the area starting in the fall.
We're looking forward and exploring different ways to program it in the future so that we can continue to host big global events.
Now, city leaders say they're looking forward to what comes next. They say they want to host even more major events, so they're bidding for the Women's World Cup in 2031. Inside the NRG Center, Maria Aguilera, KHOU 11 News.
We would love to host the ladies. And with that, that's a wrap of your Houston headlines. I'm Mia Gradney.
I'm Cynthia Aguirre in Dallas with a look at your headlines from North Texas. We're only a few weeks out from the first day of school, and after a huge staffing shakeup, Fort Worth ISD will look a lot different. The district has been forced to fill more than 1,000 vacancies since the start of the school year. Now only 20 open positions remain. Brittany Costello just spoke with parents who still have concerns.
For some parents in Fort Worth, there is no back to school excitement.
We're feeling apprehensive going into the school year.
Zach Leonard is president of a group called FORT, Families Organized Responding to Takeover. As the name suggests, they formed when the state took control of Fort Worth ISD after years of low performance.
FORT has always been to support student outcomes.
And that also means supporting teachers who he recently learned have moved on at a rapid pace. The district confirms more than 1,020 departures since January.
While we can't come out and give the reasons why employees are choosing other options, what we can say is we all want the same thing.
Denisha Presley is Chief Talent Officer at Fort Worth ISD. She says her team has worked to fill those positions. Right now, they have 17 vacancies, more than half at schools with the highest needs.
What we know and what we believe is that the teacher is the #1 indicator for student success.
This week, the Board of Managers gave the district the green light to hire uncertified teachers to fill those spots.
There is concern among many parents and folks in the education advocacy community about the amount of uncertified teachers and the rush at the last minute.
Presley says the uncertified teachers must have their degree and says they'll have 2 years to get their certification.
We've created an opportunity for those who want to serve students in this capacity to be able to serve students in this capacity.
Parents are still worried.
Radical transparency is what they've mentioned, and that's what we expect and what we demand.
Presley says she's optimistic they are making progress.
It's not just numbers to me. I think about what that means for our students. They get something that many of them may not have had in years past.
In Fort Worth, I'm Brittany Costello.
A power struggle at the top of the Johnson County Sheriff's Office is escalating. Sheriff Adam King was accused of firing his former chief deputy in retaliation after a sexual harassment investigation. Scoop Jefferson reports that same former top deputy is trying to remove the sheriff from office.
I'm going to do what the voters elected me to do.
Johnson County's top elected law enforcement official has yet another court battle on his hands about 2 weeks after his mistrial. On July 20th, the plaintiff, Chief Deputy James Salter, and his attorney filed a petition against Sheriff Adam King.
It's a petition under the local government code to remove an elected official, in this case the sheriff.
After his indictment, a judge allowed King to work 3 days a week to limit contact with his alleged victims at the sheriff's department. During trial earlier this month, a jury deadlocked on King's charges, 1 count of official oppression, female employees alleging sexual harassment, and 2 counts of retaliation against a witness, firing his chief deputy, prosecutors say, for reporting it. Cook explained why 2 of the same previous filings requesting the sheriff's removal have not been successful.
The 2 gentlemen that filed previously are citizens of Johnson County, but the legal team for the sheriff has argued that they did not have personal knowledge of the bad acts and therefore could not swear to the petition.
Attorneys for the sheriff are responding to the new court filing, saying this is more of the same as what we have seen, and we are not concerned.
The sheriff's got a fine defense team. I know all their lawyers. I've known them for a long time. They're good lawyers. But the fact of the matter is, it's going to be retried.
Sheriff King will face the same charges again in November with a new jury and remains confident about clearing his name, thankful for those supporting him during his legal battles.
I'm happy to be with my family. That's what's important.
In Johnson County, I'm Scoop Jefferson.
The dangerous Texas heat isn't just tough on people, it's putting pets at risk too. Animal shelters across North Texas are reminding owners to take extra precautions as temperatures climb. Richard Solomon has more.
If it's hot for you,
imagine wearing a fur coat outside right now. That just makes the temperature like 20 degrees hotter.
Then imagine how it feels to him. This is Canelo, a 3-year-old pup.
Even out here, you can see the difference between the shade and then the temperature of what the grass is.
And right now, Jennifer Smith with Dallas Animal Services says they're keeping a close eye on he and the others here.
I wouldn't keep him outside more than like 10, 15 minutes.
With temperatures feeling like they're in the hundreds, others are calling on pet owners to think. The Colony Animal Services posted this on its Facebook page and told me by the end of day on Wednesday, they've had 24 calls for heat-related animal welfare concerns this month.
When a dog is overheated, or even cats, you're going to see a lot of panting, hypersalivating, drooling.
And Smith says it's very preventable. She advises you to take your dog out early in the morning or at night and provide cool water. And be careful of asphalt or cement because heat can burn their paws.
You can do a test by simply putting like the back of your hand on the pavement. If it's too hot for you, it's way too hot for them.
And here at the animal shelter, they have fans going constantly. And outside, a pool for the dogs to play in. Temperatures can impact all of us. So it's important to keep the best of us safe.
To stay inside. You know, if everyone can just stay inside, that would be great for you and for your pet.
In Dallas, I'm Richard Solomon.
For 35 years, Tornado Terry's has been a place where North Texas families celebrated birthdays, won prizes, and made lasting memories. But next month, the arcade will close for good. The owner says years of construction on a nearby road has driven away customers. Adriana de Alba talks to her about saying goodbye.
35 years of family fun. But the special moments at Tornado Terry's,
but there's been just a lot of memory building here,
are all countless.
Sweet girl. There's literally nothing like a child running through the arcade with an armload of tickets screaming, "I'm rich."
Generations have played on these machines, an amusement center that prides itself in being accessible to all.
4 years old and under, they're free. Thank you. Thank you for 35 great years.
Owner Shannon Bell has made the difficult decision to close next month.
People come in, they're frustrated.
Frustrated because construction along Keller Hicks Road, directly in front of her business, has lasted 2.5 years. Road closures, detours.
They can't figure out how to get here.
Have kept her customers away. The city added signage and told us in a statement, our team has made every effort to support access while keeping the work zone safe. But Bell says it hasn't been enough. And the hardest part,
letting go because I was forced to, not because it was my choice.
Closing is hard because it's just not something she wants to do. But there's another reason this decision is especially emotional.
He's tied up in all of this.
Her late husband, Terry Bell, who started it all with her, is the reason she has held on to this place for so long.
When I let go of this place, I let go of a big party.
his creativity, the gaming machines he built, now labeled for auction.
It was a lot like watching Terry die all over again.
It hurts to let go of the business they poured their lives into. The doors will close on August 9th, but the memories will last forever. In Fort Worth, I'm Adriana D'Alba.
And those are your headlines from North Texas.
Well, now that Bertha has come and gone, we expect mostly hot and dry weather to return to all of the Lone Star State. Houston, southeast Texas, and down to the valley had a couple inches of rain yesterday. What there is left of Bertha, the deeper moisture has now moved into Mexico as of Friday afternoon. We may see a few isolated showers, San Antonio to the Rio Grande, but just a small handful possible there. Otherwise, hot and humid. We go into Friday evening, and we do get a few later evening showers popping up Lubbock to Amarillo. They should settle down after sunset. Then we go into Saturday morning, mostly quiet. Modeling is popping up a shower Lubbock to near Wichita Falls by 7:30 Saturday morning, but the rest of us hot and dry. And then Saturday afternoon, I don't see any rain in the Lone Star State Saturday afternoon. That's 2:30. We can go into the evening. Maybe a isolated shower could pop up in the Panhandle going into Saturday evening, but it looks unlikely. As far as temperatures going into Friday afternoon, summertime hot. We are under a ridge of high pressure, so 101 Lubbock, Dallas 100, Houston mid to upper 90s, Midland 99, El Paso, you guys heat up to 100 on Friday afternoon. Saturday morning starts Texas warm and sticky, and Texas hot on Saturday afternoon. By 4 o'clock, Lubbock 97, Dallas 101, Houston 97, San Antonio at 96. The heart of the heat wave moves into Kansas and Oklahoma. Oak City 105, Dodge City 104 for high temperatures on Saturday afternoon. Bigger picture, looking a little further out, the 29th through the 2nd. Temps in general above normal across the Lone Star State, way above normal out in the desert Southwest. And NOAA thinks that our rain chances July 29th into August 2nd are below normal on the coastal plain, and then near normal for the rest of the state. Wetter than normal, summer monsoon out in the desert Southwest and Mountain West. We've now had Arthur and Bertha both directly hit the Houston area, both as weak, minimal tropical storms. Cristobal's next on the list. We go to the long-range models, looking out into the tropics. Is there anything else brewing out here? We move forward in time through the weekend into next week, and we don't see anything on the modeling showing up in the main development region, in the Carib, or the Gulf. We see a hurricane on the Pacific side, but not on our side, at least through Wednesday. All right, Texas, that's where we stand.
I'm Isis Romero, and this is the news in San Antonio. A family is seeking justice for a teenager who was killed while walking home from work. 17-year-old Montserrat Martinez Maldonado was killed just 2 blocks from her house. One man is charged in her death, and the search for a second suspect continues. Alicia Nieves has the story.
Ella estaba emocionada.
Montserrat Martinez Maldonado, known lovingly as Monse, was so proud of her new job at El Pollo Loco. Her mother, Sandra, says the teenager told her neighbors to come visit her at work so she could serve them and give them a discount.
Ella guardaba la comida que
When food was about to be thrown away, Montserrat saved it, made plates, and gave them to people living on the streets. The youngest of 3 sisters, Montserrat loved animals and dreamed of becoming a nurse. When she learned she had 3 kidneys, her mother says Montserrat immediately offered to donate one to someone in need.
Pues es que ella desde que nació fue una niña especial.
But on June 28th, her big heart stopped beating. Police say Montserrat was walking home from work when 19-year-old Vinzel McGarity, racing another driver, changed lanes and hit her. She died just 2 blocks from home. McGarity stopped and was arrested. 2 passengers were inside his car.
El muchacho que le causó la muerte a mi niña.
Sandra says the man accused of causing her daughter's death can still sleep in his own bed and hug and kiss his mother. She now hugs Montserrat's pajamas every night because they still smell like her.
We're offering $2,500 for information that leads to the arrest of the second driver and the second car involved in the racing incident.
An anonymous donor matched that offer, bringing the reward to $5,000. Family attorney Anthony Alcocer believes the drivers knew each other, pointing to the fact police say they were racing. He also believes the passengers may have answers.
No debía haber morir esa noche.
Sandra says Montserrat should not have died that night. Her baby girl had a lifetime of dreams ahead of her. Now, her mother has only one: justice for Monse.
We don't want this just to be another death of military drive. We want to bring change. We can put a median, we can put different obstacles, different things, maybe a speed tracker, whatever it is, more police presence, but it takes a community.
The recovery is still in the beginning stages for many in Kerrville. One sporting goods store that was forced to close because of the flooding is now back in business. Zach Briggs takes us there.
We have been in Kerrville for 48 years. We sponsor all youth sports activities, many youth groups, churches, all kinds of functions.
Back in January, Gina and Harold Buell sold off the retail side of Fitness First Sports. The Buells still own the building, and over the past several days, they've been managing the aftermath of floods that ripped through their property.
It was just total devastation. The whole driveway was full of mud and rocks and trees.
Big old trees.
Yeah.
Here along Water Street, it was looking like a rushing river. The floodwaters so strong they destroyed this retaining wall. As for inside the business, it was an absolute mess.
The entire floor was a combination of water, mud, and debris, and lots of merchandise was damaged.
Anything that was on the ground in a box was compromised.
We kind of lost a little bit of everything.
That's Dale and Brooke Guthrie, the new owners of Fitness First Sports. While they're disappointed in the amount of damage done inside, the Guthries recognize this setback goes well beyond ruined merchandise. They're thinking about their employees as well.
It encompasses a lot, not just inventory, but being able to make sure people have a job, and especially being a small town business.
Right now, the Buells are looking at construction costs upwards of $150,000. A GoFundMe is starting to gain some traction while they apply for grants to help soften the financial blow.
He's supposed to be a tough guy, but he gets emotional.
Every little bit helps.
As cleanup continues, the Guthries are bouncing back, feeling a little love and comfort.
Before our family could even reach out to us, I had customers calling and texting me. So that right there tells me that we have the support of our community, that they're rallying around us.
And they're hoping everyone rallies around other businesses also affected by the floods, those whose doors could be closed for weeks.
My biggest thing is put down the phone and lift a hand. Help your neighbor, help our community, help your community.
Zach Briggs, KENS 5.
Cleanup and recovery efforts continue following the devastating floods, causing multiple counties to be placed under disaster declarations. Bella Papaduke brings us the latest on the damage in Cotulla.
Neighbors living near Mustang Creek tell me this area I'm standing in was completely underwater on Wednesday. Several people also tell me their backyards, front yards, underwater. And one family living here on Martinez Street is unable to get home to even see how their house flooded. Mustang Creek in Cotulla remains swollen, with floodwaters still surrounding some homes. Cotulla resident Keith Jones says he, his wife, and their 2 daughters were forced to evacuate earlier this week. They've been staying in a hotel as they wait for the water around their home to recede.
Like so much water near our house.
Is it weird to see it like that? Why?
Yeah, it's my first time being in the flood and evacuating from it.
I guess I expected it to get worse. I mean, this is bad, but I expected, worse. Like I said, I was ready to lose everything that was left there, and we're prepared for that.
Jones says he hasn't seen flooding like this in the area in decades, and his neighborhood isn't the only one hit hard. Residents along Lagarde Street tell me floodwaters also filled their homes. The Nueces River at Cotulla has crested and is slowly falling, but it's expected to remain in major flood stage through the weekend. LaSalle County Fire Rescue tells us they were out here on Thursday assessing which roads in the area need to stay closed because of that flooding. They're encouraging everyone to keep up with their social media and check drivetexas.org to follow those updates and closures. Bella Papaduke, KENS 5.
And that's the news in San Antonio.
I'm Adrian Carbajal. Here are your headlines from Central Texas. A former Texas A&M running back is in jail tonight after police say his negligence led to his toddler getting shot. Our Adriana Alexander breaks down what led to his arrest and the charges he's now facing.
23-year-old Le'Veon Moss played 4 seasons at Texas A&M as running back before signing with the Miami Dolphins as an undrafted free agent after the 2026 NFL Draft.
I don't remember much. I just be balling, really. I ain't gonna lie.
But tonight, he's behind bars. According to an arrest affidavit, Baton Rouge police responded to a children's hospital on Monday because Moss's 2-year-old child came in with a gunshot wound. Investigators say Moss told officers he was sleeping in bed with his child, and the child found the gun Moss kept under his pillow. Moss told police the toddler accidentally shot himself, and then Moss rushed him to the hospital. Police say Moss admitted that he failed to properly secure the gun. The police affidavit says that negligence caused the child to suffer unjustifiable pain. Under Louisiana law, a conviction for cruelty to juveniles involving a victim 8 years old or younger is punishable by up to 20 years at hard labor.
Moss was booked Monday in a Baton Rouge jail where his bond was set at $25,000. The child's condition has not been released, but at the time the arrest affidavit was written, the boy was still alive. In other news, after the death of a 29-year-old Copperas Cove woman, the community is rallying around the 3 young daughters she left behind. Our Sydney Walker spoke with a friend of the victim about her tragic death and the legacy she left behind.
Shalonda Shanice Dixon was selfless.
Caring, giving, or bend over backwards for anybody.
That's what Deontay LaShore, the head coach of Godspeed Track Club, says. Dixon worked with him, serving as the club's head administrator.
That's our motto, like we're more than just a track team, we're a family.
Then, on July 16th, Cove police found her dead in her bedroom.
I didn't even believe it, to be honest with you.
Officials say one child was in the room when she was shot, and her children identified 31-year-old LaMichael Detron Amos as the suspected shooter.
Just freaking out, like, no, it can't be. This gotta be some kind of crazy junk until they confirmed that it was true.
3 children without a mother.
They're more so just in the grieving process.
LaShore says they had just qualified for the Junior Olympics.
The day they were supposed to leave, they'll probably be laying their mom to rest.
But the community is making sure the girls and their grandma have what they need.
With her bills and everything, like she's so used to having just her.
The community has already raised almost $2,500, helping support everything from meals to school supplies.
Her mom gave me a big hug the other day and was like, she's so appreciative of everything that we're doing and all the help we're giving them.
All in the spirit of Shalonda's selflessness.
I know if anybody else had a situation like this, it would be what Shalonda would do.
The investigation is ongoing and Amos is still in jail with a total bond of over $1 million. And those are your headlines from Central Texas.
I'm Mike Gillespie in Corpus Christi, and here's a look at some of what's making news in South Texas. The City Council continues to hear evidence in an effort to decide whether Corpus Christi Mayor Paulette Guajardo should be removed from office. Now, the proceedings center on the controversial Homewood Suites project. It all started with a petition filed by a group of residents over the city's $2 million investment in the downtown hotel project. It was alleged that what was presented to council included a modified FEMA flood map. That's when residents filed the petition for the mayor's removal, arguing that as the city's top elected official, she failed in her duties during the approval process. That hearing began by focusing on documents from the Homewood Suites investigation. The petitioner's attorney, Doug Allison, then calling Mayor Guajardo as a witness and questioning her on multiple back-and-forth calls with the developer of the Homewood Suites project, and that was back in February of 2024.
Some of those calls either lasted very short or were just attempts. I don't know how, don't want to presume. But some of them are 6-minute calls. One's a 21-minute call. One's a 7-minute call, another 7-minute, another 3-minute call, another 8-minute call, another 6-minute call, and another 12-minute call. Do you see that?
I do.
That's certainly a flurry of activity, isn't it?
It's a lot of calls, yes.
Yeah, and it's a lot of calls because you and Devin and Philip we're all talking back and forth about what you're going to do because now it's been alleged that there's an altered federal document.
I disagree.
Well, I mean, what was the issue then?
Yeah, I disagree that it was what you just stated.
Were y'all talking?
I don't recall what we were talking about.
All right, so that removal hearing is expected to come back. They're going to continue again on August 6th. A private company no longer pursuing plans to build a desalination plant in Corpus Christi, Axe H2O, announcing this week that it is ending its proposed privately financed project, saying recent rainfall and improving water conditions have changed the need for it.
The cheapest water you can get is that which comes to us from God, and we have an oversupply of that. This, which has turned into much more of a long-term prospect than an immediate emergency, it just wasn't, it became an unviable venture. And the board voted to cease operations.
Axe H2O first presented the 150 million gallon per day proposal to city leaders back in May as an alternative to the city's paused Inner Harbor desalination project. In response to the announcement, the city released a statement saying in part, quote, "The city respects Axe H2O's business model and its determination regarding the structural requirements. We appreciate their valuable insights as we continue to evaluate various avenues to secure a long-term drought-resistant water supply." And that is a quick look at some of what's making news here in South Texas.
Hello from Austin. I'm Mark Mullins. The Travis County District Attorney's Office is asking a judge to throw out an order that would pay jurors tens of thousands of dollars. The jurors listened to 3 days of testimony in the now dismissed evidence tampering case against former Williamson County Sheriff Robert Chody and Assistant County Attorney Jason Nesor. The DA's office argues the court no longer had the jurisdiction to approve the payments after the case was dismissed, making the order legally void. The dispute centers on an order that would pay 12 jurors and 2 alternates about $27,000 each. Judge Karen Sage approved the payments after the case was put on hold during an appeal, with jurors remaining sworn in and on call for nearly 2 years. Prosecutors say Texas law only allows juror compensation for days they actually report for duty, not the more than 450 days they remained on call after the trial recessed. The leaders of nearly every state agency are looking for ways to trim their budgets after a directive from the state's top leaders. KVU's Daniel Perot has a closer look.
Mixed messages in Texas.
The state's economy continues to be prosperous.
But Republican leaders are telling state agencies to tighten their belts, specifically to cut their base spending request by 3% for next year. For the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board, that translates to $77 million they need to trim.
We split things out. It's about $3.3 million operational, $74 million from the institutional support side.
95% of the agency's budget goes to programs and institutions, so just cutting operational expenses likely won't be enough. To try to limit the damage, the board plans to ask state lawmakers to give them more money than the reduced base through what's known as exceptional items.
We'll be looking at options to minimize the amount of the cut that we need to take in mission critical programs.
It comes as public colleges across the state are already dealing with rising expenses, declining enrollment, and uncertainty about grants from the federal government. Since 2023, undergraduate tuition and fees have been frozen, so that's not an option to offset any cuts.
This is sort of a starting point to basically signal to all of state government that things are getting tight around here.
Scott Braddock, editor of Harvey Kronberg's Quorum Report, says the state might not have the budget surplus it's had the last few years. And for the first time since 2011, we could be looking at a budget deficit.
When you look at the way people have either been spending or not in a tighter economy, that means less money's going into the government's coffers in this state, and they may have to make some serious cuts.
Public education and the state's new school choice program are exempted from the 3% cuts. Back in 2011, state lawmakers slashed more than $5 billion from public education.
Nobody's talking about anything that drastic just yet.
Republican leaders say the cuts are needed to keep Texas fiscally conservative and fund priorities like property tax cuts. 1 out of every $7 in the last 2 years, $338 billion budget went to property tax cuts, and state leaders want to expand those cuts again in January.
So whether that's sustainable, that's going to be a big question. But of course, the governor wants to do more of this, and he's expecting budget surpluses.
Back on college campuses, universities are bracing for the cuts, hoping they won't have to fire staff or get rid of programs to absorb them.
And that was our Daniel Perot reporting. The state agencies have until mid-August to submit their requests. Austin Travis County EMS tells us so far this month they have responded to 132 heat-related calls, and medics say they definitely saw an uptick starting on Tuesday as temperatures surged past 100 degrees. Medics responded to 15 heat-related calls on Tuesday alone and another 17 on Wednesday. An Austin man could spend decades in federal prison after being convicted of wire fraud and money laundering. Federal prosecutors say 63-year-old John Stewart Robison convinced an investor to send $1 million, claiming the money would support the University of Austin. Instead, prosecutors say Robison moved $250,000 into an account he controlled and spent nearly all the money in a matter of months. Robison faces up to 20 years in prison for wire fraud, plus up to 10 more years for money laundering. In San Marcos, a third mosquito trap has tested positive for West Nile virus. The positive sample was collected from a trap on July 17th. It was confirmed on Wednesday. The sample was collected in the 78666 zip code, which essentially covers the entire San Marcos area. The debate over data centers in Bastrop County is heating up. Neighbors packed into a town hall meeting to push for answers about projects already under construction and others still waiting for approval. KVU's Jose Alonso tells us about their concerns.
A room full of Bastrop County residents coming together with a common concern.
So we're here kind of to talk about more of what's going on with these new EdgeConnect data centers. And more recently, there's another company looking to build in the same area.
The redevelopment of land along FM 535 is in progress as the company EdgeConnect transforms 1,400 acres into 3 data center campuses, a project the group League of Independent Voters of Texas says was not well communicated.
People don't have the information to understand what it is, why it's coming so fast, and what they can do to protect themselves, because some of these people could be living right next to this industrial project, that brings in a power plant.
And now, another data center company, Pacifico Energy, has eyes on Bastrop County, a business that, according to its website, already has a project underway in Pecos County. According to the community, Pacifico Energy is looking to construct on a large portion of land, and that includes right here off of Earl Callahan Road. And we did check in with Bastrop County government, who did confirm that they've received development applications that are currently under the review process. But at this moment, no final action has been taken.
We're losing a farm a week.
A concern growing so much traction that Texas Department of Agriculture Commissioner Sid Miller attended this community-led event.
Democrats are kind of leading on this issue, and I think they're right. But really, this is not a Republican or Democrat issue. It's not a conservative versus liberal. This is a consumer issue. This is a Texan issue. This is what's doing right for your Texas community.
Not everyone here is against industry development, but rather community and environmental concern.
Something we want to look at is in any city is doing smart development, right? Putting things that are industrial in nature outside of residential areas so that it's not impacting people's everyday life.
There's a sharp eye on development within Bastrop County. Jose Alonso, KVU News.
We reached out to Pacifico Energy for comment on this community gathering, and so far we have not heard back. The League of Independent Voters of Texas plans to attend Monday's Bastrop County Commissioners Court meeting, where they say discussions about revamping tax abatement policies will continue. A very special week for the newest and wisest Tito's influencer in Central Texas. Grover Triton from Georgetown turned 105 years old on Wednesday. The World War II veteran celebrated with his retirement community. And if he looks familiar, that's because you've probably seen him on one of Tito's Vodka's new ads. The Austin distillery chose him to plug the vodka as one of their 100-year-old influencers. Looking good at 105. That'll do it for us here in Austin. We hope you have a great day.
Here's your headlines for Southeast Texas. I'm Mark Armstrong. Dangerous heat. It bakes Southeast Texas Wednesday with the heat index values climbing as high as 117 degrees. Spencer Plato has more.
Whether you're playing at the park or walking your favorite trail, experts say the safest thing you can do is limit your time in the heat.
Texas heat is dangerous. So just make sure your people have water.
But while many are looking for ways to stay cool, for some, the work doesn't stop. And today's dangerous heat is another challenge on the job.
Maybe 100 degrees outside on the thermometer, but really it feels like a temperature of 115.
City of Beaumont says it's reminding public works employees to take more frequent breaks, stay hydrated, rest when needed, and watch for signs of heat stress.
Whenever we sweat, we lose minerals and important salts that our body needs to stay hydrated.
Acadian ambulance crews say they're seeing the effects firsthand.
Something that Acadian sees more often right now is dehydration and heat stroke or heat exhaustion.
Doctors say early symptoms include weakness, dizziness, and heavy sweating. But if someone becomes confused or stops sweating altogether, heat stroke could be setting in, a medical emergency that requires immediate treatment.
If you stop sweating and it's hot outside, that is a bad sign. Like, you need to get inside now, you need to hydrate, because things like heat stroke can then occur.
And experts say if you do plan to go outside, to prepare.
In the morning, you're really trying to hydrate with water, electrolyte drinks, something of that sort, to get your body ready to be out there, and then continuing to hydrate while you're in the heat.
Experts also remind leaving anyone in a hot car can become deadly. And even with the windows rolled down, the temperature can rise quickly. In Beaumont, Spencer Plato, 12 News.
Well, we have new details into just how close a man came to being shot last Thursday in Beaumont. According to a probable cause affidavit from Judge Mark DeRuin, investigators say that a bullet passed through that man's hat, missing his head by centimeters while he was stopped at an intersection. This was in Beaumont at South 5th Street and Corley Avenue. Police say that eyewitnesses, they saw a gray Kia leaving the area immediately after those gunshots, and police say that Michael Doyle, well, he initially being in that Kia, he denied being in that Kia, but later admitted that he was inside and even implicated himself as the shooter. Investigators say that a gun was recovered from the vehicle. It matched evidence from the scene, and Doyle is the second suspect now arrested in this case. This is following Ray Darren Glaude, who was also arrested last week. They are both charged with aggravated assault. And deliberation began in Joseph Freeman's murder trial Wednesday. He's charged in the 2022 shooting death of Richard Shiloh in Beaumont. The state rested its case Wednesday, and the defense, they called no witnesses. A forensic pathologist testified that Shiloh was shot twice, including once with the gun pressed against his chest. Prosecutors say Freeman helped carry out a planned robbery, but the defense argues there's not enough evidence to convict him. And Wednesday, Beaumont Police Special Crimes Unit, they conducted a citywide sweep of sex offenders to make sure that they're complying with their registration requirements. Police say that they checked the registration information accuracy of more than 60 registered offenders in the city, and several were not in compliance. Police say that criminal investigations have now been initiated and charges are being prepared where appropriate. Anyone with any information about any other offender who's not complying should contact the Beaumont Special Crimes Unit with the police department. And Nederland Police, they started conducting an active attack response training at C.O. Wilson Middle School and Helena Park Elementary on Wednesday. This training is going to continue into early next week, and the exercises, they are designed to prepare officers to quickly respond effectively and efficiently during critical moments. Well, the Family Over Everything Elite Track Field Team, they are sending 76 athletes to the TAAF Summer Games of Texas. And that nonprofit, it serves more than 120 athletes across the Golden Triangle. The team's going to compete in College Station from July 30th through August 2nd. FOE Elite, they mentor young athletes, building their character and preparing them for success in school, sports, and beyond. And we've got a number there on your screen if you're interested in learning more about them. And those were the headlines here for Southeast Texas.
Hey everyone, I'm Jesus Martinez, and here's what's making headlines across East Texas. Midway Poultry Services is recalling more than 1.5 million dozens of eggs because they may be contaminated with salmonella. Those eggs originated from Texas-based farms. Kroger and Berkshire Grocery Stores, which is based here in East Texas, sold some of those eggs. So make sure to check your fridge. The best by or sell-by dates are between July 20th and August 17th of 2026. Midway Poultry says that there have been no reported illnesses linked to the recalled eggs. Salmonella can cause fever, diarrhea, and abdominal issues. Well, the 4th of July may have come and gone, but events honoring America's 250th birthday, well, they just keep on coming.
During the war, during the battle, and how they relied on Providence.
That was Mary Tyler Chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution, hosted the organization's state chaplain, Shirley Bland, and her presentation, America's Beginning, Grounded in Prayer. The multimedia show, based on her extensive research, emphasized the religious faith of our founding fathers during the American Revolution and their belief that divine intervention occurred time and time again during the darkest times in their battle for freedom.
I hope that when you hear the end of this, you were proud of our forefathers and what they did and what they went through and how they relied on their faith to get them through it. And that should give us security and confidence in our own lives today and the miracles that come about in our own lives. I hope that they see the reflection.
While the members of the Daughters of the American Revolution are descendants of either those who fought or gave aid to the cause during the Revolution, there are over 190,000 active members in about 3,000 chapters worldwide. The Tyler chapter has about 200 members and say that they are always looking for revolutionary descendants to join their ranks. Well, a partnership between AT&T and CopyDot and the Mentoring Alliance is bringing new technology to students here in Tyler. The organization handed out dozens of laptops at Moore Middle School, giving students access to a resource many rely on for school and learning. Here's CBS 19's Jay Walton.
We have Rashad Bradley. Let's go, Rashad.
So our mission is we exist to mobilize godly people in the lives of kids and families to provide tangible help. And ultimately, our mission is to just serve the community with multiple programs, summer camp, after school, and Mentor Connect.
What about Kaylee Pierce?
So we're giving out laptops today, mostly for the fact that we want kids' educational just awareness to go up. We also want to be able to aid them in whatever way that we can, as far as giving them resources and opportunities.
You know, every one of these is exciting and different. We always get to see different kids' faces light up and talk to them about what they're going to use these devices for. Some are going to use it to study more on music, some more on math, some more in science.
Those shoes are not tied.
My hope for them would be that they use those laptops to continue their education, watch educational videos, documentaries, do homework on it, and it would be a resource not only for them but for their family to be able to continue to learn together.
So making sure that they use these devices safely to help open new doors is so important. So I'd really hope that they use these tools to further their education.
1, 2, 3, cheese!
Genuine happiness, can't beat that. That's a wrap up for East Texas News Headlines. I'm Jesus Martinez.